You and your partner both work full-time, 2 paychecks, $200,000 a year combined. And somehow, you still feel broke. What is happening? Here's the thing, nobody tells you. 2 incomes don't actually double your wealth. They double your expenses. And there's a hidden trap baked into the system that turns dual income from an advantage into a treadmill you can get off. Let me show you exactly how it works. 20 years ago, if you told someone your household brought in 6 figures, they'd assume you were comfortable, new car every few years, vacations, savings growing, maybe a lake house down the line. But today, a couple making $133,000, let's call them Sarah and Marcus, are living paycheck to paycheck. They're not reckless. They're not buying designer bags every weekend or leasing Teslas. They're just living 2 kids, 2 cars, daycare, a mortgage in a decent school district, standard American life, and yet every month, after all the bills, there's maybe $500 left over. One surprise expense, transmission goes out, kid breaks an arm, furnace dies in February, and they're back to zero. Or worse, they're on the credit card. So what happened? Here's the first part of the trap. When you go from 1 income to 2, your fixed costs don't stay the same. They explode. Let's break it down. When Sarah got her promotion and Marcus was already working, they thought, great, extra 35 grand a year, we can finally get ahead. But here's what actually happened. Childcare, $2,000 a month. That's $24,000 a year. Just so both of them can work. Second car. Sarah's old sedan died. They finance a reliable SUV. $450 a month payment, plus insurance, gas, maintenance, another $7,000 a year. Convenience costs, nobody has time to cook every night anymore. Meal kits, take out twice a week, lunch is out, another $400 a month, that's $4,800 a year. Bigger house, 2 kids, 2 home offices during COVID. They moved to a place with an extra bedroom. Mortgage went up $600 a month, $7,200 a year. Added up, childcare, second car, food, bigger house, that's $55,000 in new annual expenses. The second income brought in $35,000, there are $20,000 in the hole, just from going dual income. And we haven't even talked about taxes yet. Here's the part that really stings that second income. It doesn't get taxed like the first one. Marcus $70,000, a chunk of that is taxed at 12%, some at 22%. But Sarah's $35,000, every dollar of it gets taxed at their marginal rate 22%. Maybe 24% if they're in a higher bracket. So out of that $35,000, they're losing about $8,000 to federal and state taxes. Now the second income nets them $27,000. But remember, their new fixed costs were $55,000. They're bleeding money, and they both feel like they're working harder than ever. Okay, but it gets worse. Because here's the psychological trap. When you have 2 incomes, you feel richer. Even if you're not. So you make tiny decisions that seem harmless in the moment. You upgrade your phone plan because you're on calls all day now. You get the premium streaming bundle because you deserve it after long weeks. You buy the name brand groceries instead of store brand because why not? We can afford it. You pay for the lawn service because neither of you has time on weekends. None of these are big, but they add up. Another $300 a month, $3,600 a year. And because you're busy, because you're tired, you stop tracking, you just assume it's fine. 2 incomes were good, except you're not. And then the thing happens. Marcus' car needs a new transmission, $4,200. They don't have it in savings, so it goes on the credit card. And now they're paying 18% interest on that month after month because they can clear the balance. The minimum payment is another $120 they didn't budget for. Sarah lies awake at night doing the math in her head. We make good money. Why does it feel like this? Here's the truth. Nobody wants to say out loud. The 2 income trap isn't an accident. It's a feature. When dual incomes became the norm in the 80s and 90s, the economy adjusted, housing prices rose because families could afford bigger mortgages. Childcare became an industry because someone had to watch the kids. Car companies started marketing his and hers vehicles. Restaurants exploded because nobody had time to cook. The entire consumer economy restructured itself around the assumption that both adults would work, and once that happened, it became almost impossible to go back because now, if you don't have 2 incomes, you can afford the house in the good school district. You can afford the reliable cars. You can afford the healthcare premiums. 1 income used to be enough. Now 2 incomes barely cover it. And the system tells you it's your fault for not budgeting better. But here's what really gets me. It's not just the money, it's the time. Sarah and Marcus both work 45, 50 hours a week. Commute time, daycare drop-off and pickup. Groceries, laundry, emails at night. They see their kids for maybe 2 hours a day on weekday. They're exhausted on weekends. They haven't had a real date night in 4 months. And for what? To stay even, not to get ahead, not to build wealth, just to keep the machine running. That's the hidden cost nobody talks about. You trade your time, your energy, your peace of mind, and you still feel broke. So what do? Because I'm not saying quit your job or go back to one income. For most families, that's not realistic, but here's what is realistic. 1, audit your fixed costs, like your life depends on it. Childcare, cars, housing, these are the big 3. Can you move closer to work and cut commute costs? Can you buy a used car instead of financing new? Can you find a daycare coop or trade off with another family 2 days a week? Even shaving $500 a month off fixed costs is $6,000 a year. That's breathing room. 2, stop lifestyle creeping. Every time you get a raise or a bonus, your first instinct is to upgrade something. Don't live like you didn't get the raise for 6 months. Bank it, build the emergency fund. Then decide if you want to spend it. 3, track the second income separately. This is the big one. If Sarah's income is $35,000 and her work costs childcare, car, convenience, taxes, eat $30,000 of it. That means her job nets $5,000 a year. Is it worth it? Maybe. Maybe she loves her work. Maybe it's a career she's building. But at least now she knows, and they can make decisions with their eyes open. 4, build the gap fund. This is different from an emergency fund. This is we're going to save enough so that one of us could step back for 6 months if we needed to money. $20,000, it's a psychological game changer. Because suddenly you're not trapped, you have options. Here's what most people get wrong about money. They think the goal is to make more. And yeah, income helps. But the real goal is control. The ability to say no, the ability to absorb a surprise without panic, the ability to choose time over money when it matters. 2 incomes can give you that, but only if you see the trap. Only if you refuse to let your expenses grow as fast as your income. Only if you protect your time and energy like they're finite resources, because they are. So here's my question for you. If you're in a 2-income household, do you actually know what the second income is netting you? Not the gross number, the real number. After childcare, after taxes, after all the costs that come with it. I want you to do the math, write it down, and then ask yourself, is this working for us? Or are we just running faster on the same treadmill? Because here's the thing, you're not bad with money. The system is designed to make you feel asterisks like you are. But once you see the trap, you can step around it. You can build the gap. You can take back control. And that's when 2 incomes stop feeling like a burden and start feeling like a choice. If this helped you see your money differently, hit subscribe. We've got a whole series on cutting the invisible costs that drain dual-income families. And drop a comment. What's the one expense you didn't realize was eating your second income? Let's figure this out together. 2 paychecks float in, followed by expenses rising like walls around them. A split screen shows gross income versus net after costs. Tax brackets appear as literal steps or traps. A calendar fills with work hours. Then family time visibly shrinks. The character steps off a treadmill, holding a gap fund shield.